because I know where my school is at. I might be 7, but I remember the route to get to school. And he made a circle, and so when he made that circle, he parked in that lot, and I just got nervous. I was just like, I just feel like I know where this is headed. And so when we parked, mind you, he was already just out while we were driving. He had never zipped his pants back up. So I'm just kind of like trying to count the trees as we're, I'm looking out the window and we're riding, because I'm just like, at some point he's gonna put it up. Like at some point he's gonna zip his pants up. He did not zip his pants up. He did not. And once we got to that spot, we stopped, we parked, and then he said, so I'm gonna show you what a penis is. And he took my hand and he sat my hand on his penis.
Well, hey everybody, and welcome back to Love, Luster, Lies. I am your host, Dr. Dana Hunter, and you already know who she is, Dr. Delicia, our just amazing co-host. So we're just very thankful to be back with you all to continue the conversation. Y'all know we have gone deeper than we thought we would go, but the conversations and information that's been coming across through our courageous guests have been life-changing. And I pray that they've been eye-opening as well. You know, when I think about the information that's been shared, you know, on family secrets and sex abuse and molestation and, you know, even CJ's story, you know, the mom being with a pastor and youth pastor, and, you know, he had a double life, and, you know, she was eventually fatally murdered by him. It gives me pause, and it makes me continue to have these conversations to hopefully save somebody's life. You know, so that we can think twice and 2 and 3 times before engaging in people, before getting our hearts so attached, male or female. You know, I keep saying this is not just for women. This is also for men, because it's happening on the other side with men, but they just don't talk about it. So eventually we're going to find some brave men that's going to come on this show and that's going to tell us. They're going to sing. So with that, this series that we've been doing, our last couple of guests have been sharing information about family secrets, talking about things that happened in their home that were traumatic. And we're going to continue that conversation today. I'm just, man, this stuff, let me tell you. Years ago, and I've shared this before, but years ago I worked for the Department of Children and Family Services. That's really what got me into really being passionate about this. And I worked with children who had been physically abused by their parents, sexually abused. And then, my role was to advocate for them to be reunified. So I was able to get into the minds and have conversations with the parents who committed this crime. These crimes against their own children, and it's just sad. It's very sad and unfortunate that even sometimes the parents felt helpless. You know, they didn't want to do this to their own children, but, you know, because of things that happened to them, you know, it's like the cycles were repeating. And so we're going to talk about that today, you know, how cycles repeat. Where does this start? And I want to also touch a little bit on why this is not talked about. You know, some of the things that I heard, and I wanted to say this, but even when back then, I remember in working in the foster care system, kids would come into the foster care system for protection and safety. And then sometimes foster parents or adoptive parents would abuse the children. And so it's like, what is this target, this thing where people feel like they can use and abuse children? And so I want to go ahead and introduce our guests. We're going to get this conversation started. We jumping right in. Y'all know how we do. Before we jump in, y'all make sure that y'all like, share, and subscribe. Make sure y'all subscribe so that every time this information comes out, every time we drop a new video, y'all can be informed. So make sure you subscribe and send it to your loved ones. Yes, send it to your loved ones. Send it to your loved ones.
Yeah, and I'll just add to what Dr. Dana was speaking on. We need to make sure, and you guys are integral to getting this information out.
Yes.
If you know somebody who can benefit from this, or even if they're interested, or if you feel led to just share it, just forward it. And if they don't use it, that's fine. But you at least have gotten the information out.
Yes.
You are integral to getting this information out. So we need your assistance with that.
And we want to thank y'all so much so far. Y'all have shown us great love. This community has grown exponentially. People from all over the United States have been reaching out saying, I want to share my story too, and sharing different perspectives. So I want to thank you. It's been humbling because even though we sit here to kind of facilitate, you know, I'm being humbled to know that I'm not the expert on this topic. You know, I have not gone through some of the things that our guests have gone through. And so I'm learning, I'm trying to be more humble, you know, as I approach the subject. And so I just want to thank y'all for the love that y'all have shown our speakers, the love that y'all have shown us, and the love that we have to continue to show each other, because we don't know what people have gone through.
Exactly.
We don't know what people have gone through.
And I think that's something that's really come out in our, you know, in our communications with guests. Like, these people, you would never, if you just saw them on the street, you would never have any idea what they've gone through.
Yes.
And so I think, you know, with that said, we also need to just be mindful that, you know, as we come across each other in the streets, you just never know what that individual story is. And so, you know, just be humble.
Yes.
And gentle with each other.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So with that, I want to go ahead and introduce our amazing guest today, Mrs. Ebony. She's with us. Ebony is such a beautiful person inside and out. And I met her years ago through work, and she was so talented, so smart and brilliant and hardworking. She had a motor that just wouldn't stop. So hardworking. Never knew she had a story. And so she reached out and said, I feel led to share my story. And what you're going to hear today is just mind blowing. And so I just want to first just thank you, Ebony, for coming and being with us and sharing your life. Just a snippet of it. Because when people sit in here, this is just the surface. This don't even scratch the surface. And so I want to thank you for just coming and being with us and sharing your life with the world. I want to open up with, you and I had a conversation about how the word molestation and sex abuse, how it's just taboo. Like, people just say that so lightly. Oh yeah, she was molested, or he was molested, and you know, or he was, they did that to him, or she would when they were smaller, or, and people just talk about it like it's nothing. What is that? Why is it that, have we normalized this in a sense? What are your thoughts?
So for me, I feel like it's desensitization. Like, everybody's so desensitized from social media, whether it is, you know, just being in the schools or being wherever and having those conversations. That's not coming up. Like, that's not, like, we're not having conversations about what's happening back at home. Yes. When we're in middle school or we're in elementary school, we're talking about, like, what's for lunch. Yes. But at the end of the day, like, really, in this era that we're in, it's even more desensitized, because it's like you don't talk about it. Like, they taught us not to talk about it. So in them teaching us not to talk about it, like, you get desensitized. Of course, those who are victims, they're not desensitized because you go to sleep with it every night. Like, that monkey is on your back every time you go to sleep, but others don't know that. Wow. And because it's happening so rapidly and it's happening so regularly, it's like, oh, she was molested, he was molested. Like, it's just what happens. Not even just for like our culture or for like Black people, but it's happening. And people don't care no more. Like, people don't care for their neighbors. You don't care about that. If it didn't happen to me, I don't care. That's, in my mind, that's the mindset that most people have. Yes.
Until
it hits your home.
Until
and it's your child.
Yes. And if somebody even mentioned, though, in my experience, my professional experience, when people mention, oh yes, that child has been abused, or when a child, a youth, a teenager discloses, there's not a lot of attention given to the details. Sometimes it's like brushed over, or just, oh, that happened. Especially, I'll say this, especially if it's just, oh, they were just touched on the private, or it's like, ain't nothing to that.
To them, that's nothing. Like, that's nothing. And then not only that, but also, like, as a young girl myself, if you're sharing your story with an adult, like a parent or something, they're kind of like, I was molested too. So their response to it is like, okay, it really is generational, but at the end of the day, there's no sensitivity about the matter. There's no sensitivity about it because it happened to them. So in their mind, it's like, okay, get over it. Like, but they don't understand. Some people cannot just get over it. Like, I have cousins who I know that those things have happened to, but they don't have the spirit that I have. They don't have what God gave me to lead another pack, to say, this not going to happen to mine. Like, this is not going to happen. As long as I know that it's happening in this world, I have, the gall in me to be able to stop it, whether I stop one, whether I stop two. And they don't rely on that part. They don't rely on somebody being that strong to be able to really stop it from happening.
Yes. And what is it about children, boys and girls, that people think they can victimize?
They think they're going to lie. They think some kids they figure they'll lie or nobody will believe them. So that already is a whole nother something in itself. They think that kids are going to tell a lie. So when you say it, it's like, oh, first of all, in my family, you were meant to be seen and not heard. So if a child says something, you get hushed, like, shh. Go sit down somewhere. And that's just not okay. And that's what I think the problem is. Like, they feel like it's a lie anyways. And then that adult who is the abuser, they use that because they're an adult and they have the mindset to be able to manipulate the situation. So whether they're threatening to tell you, hey, you better not say something, or whether they're using the situation to their advantage and they're creating a space to where you're too scared to say something, especially if they're an abuser to your parent. So
there's further coercion and manipulation if they're abusing the parent,
even without saying a word. Like, they can just have a look about themselves and they already seem intimidating. So if I'm a child and you're a grown man, I'm already intimidated by you not saying a word. Like, by you not touching me or nothing, I'm already intimidated. So just you saying, okay, don't tell your mama this, that just add, because I'm like, okay, he told me that for a reason. Other people might think, why didn't you tell? But in my mind, he's intimidating. He's going to do me something, or he's going to do somebody something. So I don't feel like my voice is going to be heard, especially in the culture that I was in. Like, you're meant to be seen and not to be heard, so you need to be quiet.
Wow. And hearing this, that children have been silenced and that they are not heard, and that, quite frankly, because they've been silenced, because they're not believed and not heard, it makes them more of a target. And so it is important for us to really get this kind of information into the schools.
Yes.
My God, I'm sitting here thinking like, there needs to be a movement or push, more of a movement and a push. I know there are programs in schools, but most schools try to shy away from this kind of talk because once you start disclosing this, children start seeing their own selves like, and
nobody wants to take that responsibility though.
Right.
It's like, so if you're in school and you open the doors to be able to have that conversation, then it's a bigger monster. Nobody really wants to attack that monster because you have to involve all parties. And that the home is already broken. The home is already broken.
Wow.
So adding that only breaks the home even more. So some of them are going to work just to do their job. They're not really going to see results. They're not going to see or help what's on the inside the homes. They're going in to teach or do whatever they're supposed to do and go home. I don't want to know what's going on, some of them. And then we have others who are looking to dig deeper and see what's going on inside the homes and find out more deeper. But again, they know that they have to get more people involved, more leadership, the school board or whomever else involved, and then that turns into, again, a monster.
social workers and healthcare
Yes.
providers and that whole big picture.
And they don't want to be that person that is attacked. Like, okay, you told, like, we already had the no snitching. We already got that. So that really goes deeper than just the streets. Like, that's still a thing from small all the way, into adulthood.
Wow. So sometimes for educational systems and even health systems, it's like we don't want to bring this attention to our facility, our program. So it's best that we kind of do what we can to sweep this under the rug.
Attention and additional work, because as you were mentioning, it's not, it becomes your responsibility.
Yes, you have to follow through all the way to the end, whether it's writing that report to DCFS, getting online, getting in conversations with social workers and detectives. Like, everybody doesn't have it in them to do, and some people just don't want to get that deep into it. And so they may actually just cater to that specific child. Like, okay, I know what's going on at home, but I'll be a family to you at school, so that while you're at school, you'll have a better life a little bit, and be that kind of push to them. I don't know if y'all saw Boosie was on the news, and he had his teacher came in and spoke to him, and he just kind of like, he had no words. He just kind of like fell into her arms. It's like that. Like, that teacher was that for him. Whatever was going on outside or at home, that teacher was that for him when he walked into the schools. And that's what it is like with so many kids in the school system. Like, you just have that one teacher, and the teachers need to be those teachers so that we can have more, but get more involved.
It can make all the difference, even if that child's at home experiencing that abuse, that, I was that worker for several kids, and they would let me know, what was happening in their foster home. They would let me know what was happening because they built that trusted relationship. And I think that's so important, for our audience, that we build those trusted, we be that trusting adult to these kids, and teenagers, so that they can feel comfortable in opening up. And even if something doesn't happen, being able to be heard, and I'll go even further to say believed.
Yes. And recognizing, because we have some, they just put them on Ritalin. Some they just give them medicine.
They have behavior
when you
problems.
don't recognize those behaviors, that are those withdrawing behaviors where Timmy's sitting in the back. Why?
Yes.
Who's gonna ask why?
Yes.
Nobody's asking why.
Yes. Yes. So to that point, I want to jump in, because your story is so powerful. You shared with me that at about 6 or 7 years old, you were like a straight A student. It's amazing how this is flowing. You were like a straight A student. And all of a sudden, something happened to you that caused who you were as a innocent young child to change. And it became noticeable in the schools. Tell us what your life was like at 6 years old.
So the ironic thing is, I really can only remember maybe 6 years old and before. And what I've learned to realize, like, it's because of the trauma. So it's because everything after 6 was trauma. But before 6, birthday parties, meeting with my cousins when it's family time. It was a good life. It was good. Like, it wasn't toxic. I was shielded from a lot of, like, if there was family drama, I had no idea about it.
Yes.
It was like really healthy in my eyes at that time.
Okay.
So it was a pretty good childhood up until I was about 6 or 7.
Okay. And then your mom and dad separated.
Correct.
Your dad, you mentioned, was like a protector, very protective of y'all. He was like that protective dad, made sure his girls were good,
Yeah, I was a daddy's girl.
You was a daddy's girl.
I was.
But when that family home was broken, your mom, and after your parents divorced, your mom met a new guy. Tell us about that.
So she met a new guy, and he was abusive to her first. He was very abusive to her. I was kind of shielded a little bit because I was more so with my dad's family a lot of the time, so I didn't get to see it a lot, but I knew that he was abusive. I would hear conversations where they said that he'd done something again and somebody had to go out to help my mama or something, but she didn't know that I knew that. But what she didn't know was that he wasn't physically abusing. He was sexually abusing me. My dad was in the military, so he didn't know. His family didn't know. But whenever it was my mama's weekend for me to be at her house, and she was trying to do school and work at the same time, because I have 2 siblings as well, and she was trying to provide for us. And whenever I was at her house, or well, it was his house for the weekend, that's when the abuse started.
And you said your mom was working at this time. Now she's a working mom. She's well educated. She was in the nursing profession.
She was taking a nursing program at nighttime.
Taking a nursing program at nighttime. So just a hardworking woman trying to bounce back from the separation and divorce from your dad, and trying to take care of her girls. And now you're at the home. You're finding yourself now in a different family environment with the new person that's in the equation. Now you're 7 years old, and one crazy day, your mom asked her boyfriend to take you to school.
Yes.
Talk to us about that.
Okay, so this is the day that my whole life changed. Like I saw the world completely differently, because in my mind, everything was rainbows and unicorns. Everything was so good, because like I said, my family shielded us from any toxicity. So I didn't know nothing about bad people. So this specific morning, I'm in middle school. My grandmother worked in the cafeteria. So normally whenever I would stay with my dad, I would ride to school with my grandmother. But this particular morning, I ended up staying past the weekend for whatever reason with my mom. And she had to go to school. She had to go straight from work to work from school. And so my stepdad, they weren't married, but he had to take me to school. So I'm fine with it, because I mean, she trusts him, so whatever. He's never done me nothing. It's been about maybe 4 or 5 months. He's never touched me. He's never abused me, so I'm cool. So we get up, I get dressed, I put my uniform on, I put my school clothes on. We get in the car. We did not even leave the driveway.
This was his first time being with you alone. Okay.
He has not even backed out of the driveway yet. And then they lived in like this real country area, so he had like hunting dogs and like wild animals like out. It was just a big yard, and so we hadn't even pulled out yet. And the first thing, as soon as I snapped my seatbelt, he asked me, did I know what sex was?
7 years old.
7 years old. He asked me, and I'm just like, no. I'm like, what is that? Tell me. If you why would you ask me? Just tell me, because I'm not knowing that it's something bad. And so when he asked that, he was like, do you know what a penis is? And I'm like, no, just tell me. At this point, I'm getting annoyed, because I'm like, okay, we haven't backed up out this yard yet, but it's starting to feel a little odd, because I don't know what it is, but you're not telling me what it is. So then he grabs the gear to shift it, and then he said, do you want to know what it is? And I'm like, yeah, tell me. And so he says,
but prior to this, have you ever heard of the word penis and sex?
Never.
No, you wasn't exposed to pornography.
Never.
You were a child shielded from that, probably made to watch innocent TV.
I had been in church since when I first came home from the hospital. My grandmother had me, and my dad's mom had me in church from the time I was born until I was 17 years old. So I had been in church. And when I say church, I'm talking Sunday church, I'm talking Monday prayer meeting, I'm talking Wednesday Bible study, Thursday choir rehearsal, Friday, whatever we did with the youth. So I'm talking like regular childhood church. And then also, we couldn't even watch scary movies. Like, I didn't even know at that time what Chucky was, or what Michael Myers was, because my grandmother would say, get that picture off my TV. Like, she didn't play that. So I didn't know much about nothing of the world when it came to, like, bad stuff. So he was the first bad person that I ever encountered in my life. And he asked me, he said, did I want to know what it was? And I was like, yeah, tell me. And he unzipped his pants. So once he unzipped his pants, my heart started pounding, because I'm like, oh, my God, like, that is not what I was thinking. And so he unzipped his pants, and I think
his job was to take you to school.
Take me to school. That's it. He just was supposed to get me to school. That is it. Like, we were on time. He wasn't gonna have to check me in or nothing. It was just a carpool drop off. Supposed to be a carpool drop off. I think he can tell that I was getting a little nervous. Because of like my breathing started changing or whatever. So we ended up backing up, but he's still like asking me if I wanted to know what a penis was. And then so I'm just like, I said, yeah. That's when he unzipped his pants and he showed me. So then I said, okay. And he can tell that I was like feeling a way about it. So we drove in silence, complete silence. And then we got on the highway. We're on 190. There's an overpass on 190 and one, I'll never forget it, at 415. And there was an empty lot. He bagged into that lot. He turned into that lot. I'm looking and I'm already nervous because I know where my school is at. I might be 7, but I remember the route to get to school. And he made a circle. And so when he made that circle, he parked in that lot, and I just got nervous. I was just like, I just feel like I know where this is headed. And so when we parked, mind you, he was already just out while we were driving. He had never zipped his pants back up. So I'm just kind of like trying to count the trees as we're, I'm looking out the window and we're riding, because I'm just like, at some point he's going to put it up. Like, at some point he's going to zip his pants up. He did not zip his pants up. He did not. And once we got to that spot, we stopped, we parked, and then he said, so I'm going to show you what a penis is. And he took my hand and he sat my hand on his penis. And so that was when I first found out what a penis was.
And he didn't stop there.
Nope. So he didn't stop there. So that day I had on a skirt. So as my hand is just sitting, it's just like limp. My hand is just limp on his on his penis, and it's just sitting there. But I can tell that he's getting so much gratification just from my hand sitting there, because he takes like this deep breath, like it just felt so good to him. And I'm not moving my hand. My fingers aren't moving. My hand is not moving. It's just there. But I can tell he's like excited. Like it started rising, and he's like extremely excited about a 7-year-old hand being there. So then my hand's sitting there. So then he reaches his hand and he like starts to rub my leg, and he's trying to like put his hand up my skirt. And then I'm just kind of like doing this. And then so when I push him originally, he like strong arms like squeezes my hand. That was a warning. I knew I took that warning, and so I didn't do nothing else. So I just sat there, and he just took his hand and he put his hand up my skirt and inserted his fingers, and it was the worst pain ever, because for one, he's a big man, so his hands were gigantic. So to me, it felt like penetration, like sex penetration. And yeah, like that was literally all he needed, because he started the car back up and we were headed to school. We got to school, and I just was like, I felt like I was in a dream. Like, did this just happen? I kind of gaslighted myself a little, like, that didn't happen.
And
like,
as he was taking advantage of you, you mentioned before that he got pleasure. He was getting pleasure out of that. Describe where his head was.
He was excited. He was like, finally. That's what I got from it. It was like he had saw me in that light, and he just was like, finally, I finally got her. And it just, because he just took this, I still can smell his breath like in my mind, because he just took this deep breath, and he was just like just so, it just felt so good to him. And I wasn't, at this point, my hands aren't on him anymore. His hands are on me. But he was just so like, he just kept doing, like raising his head up, and just like, he was so excited to be touching a 7-year-old.
Wow.
Like, he was so excited. And like I said, that's all he needed, because once he got that, it's like he felt like he got a reward for it or something. And then we just drove off. He zipped his pants back up, and we were back on the road again.
Wow. And you finally made it to school.
So I get to school. I go greet my grandmother, because she's in the cafeteria. She puts my plate on the table, and I'm trying not to show her like that something is wrong, but I kind of feel like she can tell something was wrong, because I smile a lot. I laugh a lot. And that's been since I was younger. Like, I'm always smiling, always. And I just did not, I feel like something was stolen in that car. Like, so I didn't have that when I walked into school that morning. And so I feel like she kind of saw that, because again, she raised me, and we were in the house together every day, church and everything. Yes. So I just felt different. So when it was time, the bell rang, it's time to go to class, I'm just like, I put my head down. They called home. They called home, and they was like, this is not like her. She's not this, and she's not that, and somebody needs to talk to her. I get home, and that's what they did. You know better than that, and you shouldn't be laying your head on the desk. If you were supposed to be doing work, you should have been doing work, and that ain't even like you, so you must be hanging around the wrong friends, and this and that.
Yeah,
so
I'm hanging around the wrong friends.
So I'm just like, yep, okay, gotcha.
Wow. in that moment, you didn't think to say anything
Oh, no.
about what happened.
Oh no, that grip that he when he was trying to touch me and he gripped my hand, that like remember, he's abusive to my mama. So that grip to my hand was to let me know, like, look, don't do that again. And I took that as don't do that again. And I did not do it again. I did not. I wasn't going to tell. And I also was protecting my mama's feelings too. Like I knew at the end I was afraid of what my daddy would do, because again my daddy was in the Navy, and he was like real protective over me and my brothers. And so in my mind, all I thought was like, he don't have no like control when it comes to like he will get a gun, and so he will kill this man. And even though as an adult I can think like, okay, let him kill him. At 7, I'm not thinking. I'm like, I don't want nobody to die. I just want him to stop. I just don't want to do it again. And so I'm not thinking tell. So no.
Yeah. And again, you're protecting your mom. You know,
and he has kids too.
Yeah.
Like he had 2 sons, and he had a niece that was living, and his mama was living there too. So like she was older, and he was like taking care of her. She was like real sickly.
How old was this boyfriend?
He had to be he was much older than my mama, and my mama was maybe 20 something, so he had to be maybe 30 something, almost 40, possibly
30s or 40s, and did that to a 7-year-old. So after this first time, you mentioned, now, your education is different. It's starting to suffer. It wasn't just this one time. So talk to us about.
It turned into every time. It turned into, and then my mom and my daddy were both alternating weekends. So whatever weekend that I was with her and that she had to leave me with him, on the way to school, it was just the normal thing. Like, we're going to park on 415 in the open lot, and you're going to, and this, he never like went further than just like that was what he got off on. Like, he just wants to touch me. But it would just be that. And so in my mind then, I was just like, well, he's just doing that. He's not like making me do something.
It's not that bad.
Yeah, it's not that bad. Like, he's not penetrating me or nothing. So I should be okay. Like, I'll be okay. Like, he getting me to school. That's what they asked him to do. He's getting me to school. And it's just his hands. So that's all I was thinking about. So, but it continued. It was that for like every other weekend that I was at her house. It was that. And then one morning is when it turned into he wanted me to lay on top of him. My mom was at I think she went to work straight from school again, I don't know, and we had a pallet made in the living room, and I was sleeping on the sofa, and their pallet, my mama and him, their pallet was made. My mama was already gone for the day. My brothers were already, I don't know, off to school or something. I don't know if they caught buses or what, and why he didn't have to bring them, but they weren't there. And I was asleep. And so he was laying on the floor, but I tried to pretend to stay asleep. Like, I was trying to stay asleep until his niece woke up, because once she woke up, in my mind, I'm like, he won't try nothing if she wakes up. So I'm trying to stay asleep as long as she sleep. But she was sleeping a long time that morning for whatever reason. And he tapped me. And when he tapped me, I just took a deep breath, like, oh my God, like we're not in the car. Like, this is not the same thing. Like, this could potentially turn into something else, because he's in his pajamas. I'm in my pajamas. And he's laying down. And so now I don't know what's going to happen. So he just tells me, come lay on top of him. And again, he just got pleasure out of me. He pulled my arm, and I kind of laid on him. And he didn't do nothing. He just got pleasure of me laying on top of him. And so he kind of was like rubbing my back and rubbing my legs. And again, he took that nasty deep breath again, and he just felt relieved from me just laying on him. And then he was like, okay, get up and put your clothes on so we can go to school. And that morning is probably, I don't know how to, that morning I felt better because we didn't stop on 415. So I felt better because I'm like, oh, good, there's no penetration today, like I can go. And I had a good day. I remembered having a great day, even though I just laid on top of this big grown man before I came to school. But he didn't touch me, he didn't put his fingers in me. So for me, that was a good day. And so that was when the first time that he actually made me lay on him. But after that was the last time that I ever had to lay on him.
I think, and I guess I say this every time, but Lord have mercy, my insides are like bawling, crying, hearing this, because children, I love my heart is so deep. And if any of us, we have children, you can only imagine how much we try to protect our children from stuff like this. You know, any of us, we go down hard for our kids. You know, we will take somebody out, like you were saying with your daddy. We'll take somebody out for our kids. And I feel like that about other people's kids. I just feel like that about children in general.
The innocence. The innocence. Just
yes, being stolen like that. And so, you know, I just want our audience to pay attention that there are actually grown-ups like that, you know, that we could be considering dating, male or female, that have a sexual fetish towards children. I mean, what you
about the doll.
Yes,
you know,
the child sex dolls.
Just that there are people that have that fantasy.
There are people, and it sounds
careful.
like he has such strong lust and sexual perversion and just disgusting desire for sex that he was getting off on a 7-year-old, and then at some point you turn a 7-year-old, 8-year-old child, and it's just, I think we just have to keep our eyes open that this is out there, you know, to the young ladies that are single. You know, it just can't be about, it just cannot be all your English go out the door when you're dealing with this stuff.
Common sense out the door.
It just can't go out the door. We have to be thinking about more than just ourselves. And he bought
and your
me
own
flowers.
emotions and how he treats you as a
And even without it being about like the material things that he may or may not be buying, we get so busy with life. Like my mama was just working. She had no idea. So she was so busy with life. She wasn't really thinking, okay, this man is at home with my daughter. You know, she's not thinking that he's going to do that to me, because for one, she's probably trusting that I'll say something. But also, we've never had that conversation either. We've never had
You're only
bad touch,
6
good
or
touch.
7.
Yeah.
I mean,
So, it's never been a conversation. So just the hustle and bustle of every day, like it won't even always be them give, because be honest, from what I've seen in my experience, they don't have much to give. They ain't buying no materialistic nothing. They really be bums, to be like, to be honest. They really be
look for somebody
living
to
off
take
the
care of them.
woman, really and truly. She going to work, and in my mind, now that I think about it right now today, why you didn't ever go to work?
Well, you wasn't at work.
Wasn't you at work? So they really bums anyways.
And I was thinking about that too. That's a good point. The fact that it was happening under your mom's nose, but she needed the help. It's possible that, you know, as single women, you know, like you need help with child care, you know, like how else can she get her job? How else can she provide? You know, it's like you need the help, you know, and I know plenty of young women or older women who find themselves in situations where it's like, well, I gotta go to work, you know, and one job nowadays is not enough,
right?
You know, so when they take that second job, whether it's overnight or whatever time, who's gonna keep an eye on the kids? Who's gonna help them with homework? Who's gonna drop them off to dance class and things like that?
And then remember, she just got out of a tumultuous divorce in a sense, so I need to make it look like I got it all together. I can't rely on him and his family too. I need to, and I'm saying hypothetically, possibly, that could have been where my head was like, I need to make it's my weekend. I only have her. Is this just this weekend? I need to make it look like I got it together. So I need my boyfriend to be able to help her, so that I don't have to call my ex-husband, who I'm no longer with, to need him.
Wow.
So,
yes.
Wow. So, you know, we have to be thinking, you know, young ladies, I'll talk to y'all first. We have to be thinking while we're leaving the children with the older male cousin, or, you know, well, he's available, or our own son, or whomever have you, the uncle or whomever, or we leaving with the aunt. But who's going to be coming over while the aunt is watching? All of those things we have to be thinking about.
A lot of women like to say, because I've heard it myself, oh, I don't let my kid go nowhere. I just let such and such watch him. That's where it's at. That's where it's at. It's in the house. It's in the house. Like, I watched this podcast, or this lady who was telling the story one day, and she was saying how the people were trying to figure out how to go into, or if they were going to fight or flight mode in the forest or in the wild. What happens when the bear is at home?
Yes.
Like, you go in fight or flight mode, like the bear is in your house. And so it's not always, it's rarely ever somebody outside of the house for you to say, oh, I don't let my kids go nowhere. Like, I'm on my kids like a hawk. Okay, well, what about if it was stepdaddy? What about if it was daddy?
Yes.
What about if it was your brother? Like,
Yes.
like that's happening in the house.
It's absolutely happening. Absolutely.
So do you, this seems like this is leaning towards a conversation with the kids. What do you, like, what would you have liked to see, you know, in your adult, you know, retrospectively? What would you,
the day that the teachers called home, I would have liked to somebody have asked me something, and I think I probably would have told. Like, I can't say right off that I would have, but in my mind, I think if somebody would have said, why did you do such and such? It was never a why. It was, you did this, the teacher said this, you were separated from the class, you wasn't listening, they told you get in the line, you didn't stay in the line, you must got some bad friends. Like, it was just a straight finger wagging situation.
Wow.
And it was never the question of why, all the way up until the rest of the story that we got to get to. But it was never a why.
Wow. So as parents, being open, you know, to talking to our kids about healthy relationships, what good touch, bad touch look like, what it don't look like. And if somebody does this to you, you gotta come tell me. Don't worry about if they threaten you, you know, and setting a child up or setting the stage for if that does happen, you know, that the child can at least have heard that they can tell.
The best advice that I think I've given when it comes to a situation like that, and when you tell, let the adults be the adults. Like, ask me why. I don't want to care about what happens after that.
Yes.
I'm gonna let the adults be the adults, and y'all
Yes.
figure that out. I want to go back and finish playing with my Barbie dolls.
Yes. Wow. So you were at your mom's on weekend. Some weekends y'all alternate. Your mom and dad alternated. So you found yourself in a situation, a terrible situation, where when you were at your mom's, you had to deal with this perverted boyfriend or stepdad. And then when you went to your dad's, where your dad was the protector, something began to happen under his nose.
So, I had an uncle. He was one of my aunts. He was like married into the family, so he wasn't, not that it even matters, but he wasn't like blood related. But he was one of my favorite uncles, actually. Like, he was the one that give you $1 all the time. Like, he was my favorite uncle, and he broke my heart to my core. He broke my heart. So, it was a weekend. It was a weekend with my dad. My dad was away at base. At this point, my mom has cancer, so she's dealing with her cancer. And I'm actually with my dad's family like more frequently. And so my dad's sister, his oldest sister, she ended up christening me. So she's my godmom, and she got married. She was married to my uncle, and so I had 3 god sisters. So I would be with them all the time. And so one night, I was in the room sleep, and so we were in bunk beds, and so I saw the door open, but the way the room was set up, you had to pass through the room to get to the kitchen. And so I'm thinking, he's just going to the kitchen. He stopped. And so when he stopped, I kind of was scared in the sense of like the boogeyman type of thing, like, because I just see this shadow. And so he walked over to the bed, and so I'm like, I wonder what is he doing? And I'm thinking he's about to do something to one of my god sisters. He reached over one of my god sisters, and I think he thinks I'm asleep. And so he started reaching into my shorts. And so he would just like kind of do the same thing that my mom's boyfriend would do. He penetrate with his fingers. And again, that deep breath, I can see on his face, he was so gratified. It was disgusting. He just took a deep breath, and he just left. He just walked off. Like, he was fine. Like, he was happy with what he had just done. I didn't let him know that I was woke, because I really wanted to be asleep, and I really wanted it to be a dream. And I didn't want him to see him. And it's so crazy, but just me thinking now, I was trying to save him dignity. Like I was trying to save him his dignity. Like, okay, if she sees me, she might tell. So it was no
You
threatening.
didn't want
It was
him
no,
to know that you
yes.
knew.
I didn't want him to know that I knew.
Wow.
So that happened. So then at this point, I'm just laying up like that, just staring at the ceiling, just hoping that he does not come back. So I can hear him in the room snoring. Like he's gotten he's got what he wanted.
Off.
And he goes in the room and he goes to sleep. I can hear him snoring. So the next morning, me and my god sisters, we get up, we get dressed, we go to school. At this point, I'm kind of over what had been happening with my mom's boyfriend, but not too much, because again, whenever I go there, I know that it's going to happen again. But it's like the better of the two vices, because it's like I was having fun with my cousins in the daytime, and it was just every other night. Like he wouldn't, it wasn't like I wouldn't know when it was going to happen. It was just like if he felt like it. So it was like I was happy to be with my dad's side of the family, because I'm like, I don't have to worry about it every day.
Yes.
And with my mom over there, I would have to worry about, okay, when I get up, get in the car, head to school, I know when it's going to happen, like clockwork. But with them, it was better, because it's like, it's a possibility I can go to sleep tonight, you know? And so it didn't really faze me that much. It did, but it didn't, because I just was happy that I can play with my cousins and I can go throughout my day woke without being touched. But then it's like when it was time to go to sleep, whenever he would make that decision to do what he would do, that's when it would be bad. But it also raised questions like, why are you skipping over 3 other girls? Like, what is it? So that's when the questions of why me started happening. Back then, when he was doing it, I didn't have questions of why me. I just figured he was a bad man. But then when it's a second guy, I'm like, why is he skipping over them? Is he skipping over them, or is it just my turn, because I'm not here all the time? So is this something that he's just, she's here now, so I want to do it to her. But they never, that's their story to tell. If they have that story, I don't know if it happened to them.
Yes.
But it was happening to me.
Wow.
And so it raised the questions of why me.
And this was your aunt's husband.
Mm-hmm.
So your aunt was married to a man that she did not know had a fetish for children.
If
7, 8 years old.
Either her or my daddy would have killed that man.
They would have took him out.
I know that for a fact.
And so, I mean, were you ever able to talk to her and tell her?